Hey guys, you've joined us at Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta and we bring this show live for you from IIJS, which is, by the way, the 40th series into this one, and this is happening in India. It's the largest B2B show in the world, the second largest that is, and this time around we are given to understand that there are 3,600 stalls there and there are 2,100 exhibitors who are showcasing their very beautiful designs, and this comes in ahead of the festival season, the wedding season. The hope is, the feeling is that it also is good monsoon, not just the urban demand, but the rural demand also is expected to pick up. Of course, in the Indian markets, we've seen budget cut import duty from 15 to 6%. That is a big help. And the international gold prices have declined as well, and that has been supportive in jewelry buying as well. Let's get in our first guest, and joining us now is Mr. Amit Pratihari from De Beers. Amit, hi, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you,
it has been a good budget to begin with.
Absolutely. I think it's brought life and energy to the whole category. I think it's an exciting time, and I think people are finding more reasons to buy diamond jewelry. So I think it's a great move from the government. Yeah.
So last year was all about plain gold jewelry demand and exports as well. Diamond did not do well, but do you think the numbers have started to look better now?
Yeah, definitely. I tell you, diamond not doing well, it is of course a reality. I think that's more to do with the global economy, especially China completely going zero on the luxury purchase and so forth. But I think among all these things, I think India is an absolute bright spot. And I think if you see the growth of natural diamond, it is always a double digit, and the big chains, organized retail is driving that change. And more interestingly, people, when they are looking at diamond jewelry, they are not looking at a jewelry which they want to keep it at the locker. They want a jewelry which they can wear every day, more transformational, and they don't need reasons to buy. They buy when they feel. So self-purchase category is particularly growing in the diamond category.
Also, when you look at the pricing itself, and we know that the small diamond prices haven't declined as much, but the bigger chunks have seen, the bigger stones have seen a decline. So anywhere between 5 to 20% of a cut in diamond prices. How are you reading it? Are we near bottom now? Are we near support?
Yeah, I think price, of course, there is a pressure on price. That's primarily due to the demand and supply. But yes, that is a short-term, pressure on pricing, but when you see the long term, I think it's very, very promising. And because diamond is the only product which holds the true emotional value of what you are purchasing. Yeah, I think from a long term, it is quite promising. Yeah.
Amit, I remember diamond is forever as a tagline from De Beers. Are you looking to improvise it, improve it, come out with another one?
I think a diamond is forever, it will stay forever. I think as a company, we are re-looking at the whole strategy. If you look at, we have taken some initiative in the US, wherein we have tied up with Signet and driving the natural demand category. Similarly in China and India, of course, we are looking at it more seriously. We are working with a lot of industry bodies, and we will re-energize the natural diamond category definitely, for sure.
So when you look at US, we've seen the demand decline. China isn't doing great as well. Middle East is doing good, and so is India, as you said. So when you look at India, and especially ahead of the festival season now, what is the strategy in sense of market, branding, campaigns that De Beers is looking at?
So, as I said, we are going in a complete transformation. We are looking India very, very differently. We want to stay connected to Millennial and Gen Z because they are the ultimate buyer. So, from a category point of view, we are working with, as I said, industry bodies and making sure that the narrative of natural diamond is stronger. For that, a couple of things we are doing. We are working with the top retailers, making sure that the house is in order. So the people, when the end client walk into the store, they are given the right messaging. At the same time, working with the midstream manufacturing, making sure the supply chain is well connected to the retail. And from a De Beers Group point of view, we are looking at the brand Forevermark very, very differently, whereas the incubation is happening in India. And the idea is that it is India for India now, and then the second phase is India for the world. So quite a promising time for De Beers in India.
Amit, the final question, and it's a two-part one. One, you've launched Tracer, which really seems to be doing quite well. The other part is the G7 rough diamond ban that is in process right now. How have you seen that develop?
I think from a global market point of view, G7 is the whole process of G7 is still in another work process. We have a different view and we are making it clear in the different industry bodies. But yes, it is a process which we have to go through. I think for that, Tracer stands very well placed. It was initially conceptualized to support De Beers supply, but I think Tracer we are offering to the industry to support the industry so that the whole pipeline integrity can be maintained, can be visible through blockchain technology. And Manisha, I must not, last thing, I just wanted to highlight that you are standing in the De Beers sustainable booth. For everything we have built in this booth stands about sustainability, and I think that is the core ethos of De Beers. The Building Forever is one of the big initiative. And here we just have Tracer, we have Forevermark, and we have Ignite, which talks about technology. These are all verification technology, which will add confidence to the end customer. So we are doing our bit, making sure that the end client has the confidence on this category.
Right, and absolutely bang on ahead of the festival season there as well. Amit, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Manisha.
Well, that was all the conversation about diamonds, where the market believes that the prices are now near bottom, and with the festivities coming up and the markets improving, not just locally but globally as well, there could be some support coming in for them. But let's talk about gold now, and joining us then is Sachin Jain from World Gold Council. Sachin, thank you so much for joining us. And IIJS continues to be bigger, better, and you also launched a company which you seem to be focusing here on. How are you looking at the growth of this? We've spoken about this already, but do tell us on when do you see it getting operational and what more work is now being done?
Thanks, Manisha. Thanks for being here and welcome you to the IIJS. It's a very important platform. Almost, it's the testament of what's going to happen in the coming months. And I can tell you the testament really reveals it's going to be a rock solid next half of the year. And as you mentioned, we've unveiled IIJS. I as in gold is for ages, like IIJS, India Association for Gold Excellence and Standards. It's the first self-regulatory organization in the gold world, in the entire value chain. And I can very proudly say this is the first from India. It's never happened across the world, and as we make this mature, this will become the sort of gold standard for the world in the gold business. So we're very proud of that. We formed the first board where the interest is very high, and that only reflects that the direction put forward to us by the respectable Prime Minister of an organized world, the recent step in the union budget around reduction of duty, again a push to the organized world. And I can tell you on ground, the general retailers, small, large, all people in the value chain are super excited to say, give us a roadmap and we're willing to walk that path. Okay. So I'm very excited about it.
All right. So, it's been 3 or 4 days now that we've been looking at IIJS. What's your sense? There are a lot of people that I can see around here, a lot of interest as well, various nice designs also. Are you looking at, are the initial trends now coming in on what the demand looks like?
Actually, there's been a reverse trend, and that's a very interesting conversation. So go back 3 months, the whole conversation was, let's make lightweight products, let's use technology and all of those things. And with just mentally, and I think it's not about the actual number, just mentally the bit of correction, the pricing, it's gone back to pure gold, right products, heavyweight, and not recreate things which don't exist. But I think it really fundamentally is bringing back the appeal to gold, the appeal to emotionally collective consumers, and certainly the returns of gold have been phenomenal. So when you sit around a dinner table and your parents give you a bit of advice, I'm sure youngsters will take that advice. It's going to be a good time.
Clearly. So when you look at the demarcation between investment and jewelry buying, and of course solid gold buying, which has been the trend last year, by the way, in sense of jewelry exports as well, plain gold did much better. Do you see studded and diamonds coming back majorly strongly into fore?
I think so. It'll be a revival for diamonds as well. It's going to be a good time for everybody. That's fundamental. But I think going back to your point on looking at jewelry, let's look at particularly quarter two. Quarter two, we had a bit of drop in the overall business, where we saw 17% drop in jewelry, still at about 68,000 crores. But if you look at investment demand, that went up 47% in volume, 75% in value. Now, if you look at combined as an output of this, I think more creativity is required so that even investment demand like bars and coins, we can not just sell them as just coins, but create some cult around that and some trend which younger consumers can buy. So I'm very hopeful about that.
A final question then, Sachin, and going forward from here, we've seen money being spent from the industry now. I mean, I've seen World Gold Council ads and in various parts of the country now. So is this a plan, strategy ahead of the festival season?
Well, I think the key is that as an industry, we need to be connected to younger consumers. And collectively, we as an industry have to talk to them in the changing lifestyle they're living. And hence the role of World Gold Council. We of course have one of our campaign called You Are Gold, which is about talking to the new age consumer. But in the long term, we'll be creating this highway, which is a highway of how to communicate, what is the theme. And we think that all brands, you could be high-end brand, or you could be a Ferrari or a bus, you could drive on that highway and get as common as industry, talk to the younger consumer. That's our goal. So we can emotionally connect to the goal what it is for.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sachin, for joining us and giving us a sense on that. Well, the festival season is absolutely coming and a lot of work being done by the industry ahead of that. Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions, and before we move any ahead, I got a chance to speak to Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industries, Government of India, and he said that, well, instead of cutting duty in small tranches, cutting import duty in gold, silver, platinum by 9% just made much more sense. It did take away from the distortion in duties and, of course, also eliminated the point of unofficial gold coming in India. He also said that at this point in time, there is no thought on increasing GST. He also told us that there's a lot of conversation happening with various countries and India is in a negotiation position and that there are FTAs being discussed with various other countries. Let's listen in.
Issue about gold and silver rates needing to come down. I think over a period of time, subsequent budgets, one after the other, kept on increasing gold and silver and platinum import duty rates to an extent where it became almost irrational. In a way, the incentive not to pay that duty, and you know what I mean by that, became very high. Probably just flying down to Dubai and coming back. It worked very well if you even took a piece of jewelry and brought it to India. And this was certainly hurting the interests of Indian industry, hurting job creation.
Industry is now slightly concerned, and even in hush-hush tones, they now seem to be discussing, even worrying that is there a higher GST coming in?
नहीं, आप चिंता मत करो. चिंता में रह के कोई फायदा नहीं होता है. कौन सी पिक्चर का डायलॉग है वो अनिल कपूर का? Be positive, है ना? कौन सा है? वेलकम. बी पॉजिटिव यार. आप लोग ये सेक्टर जिंदगी भर रोता रहा है, जरा कभी तो खुशियां भी मनाओ यार.
Well, we've spoken about gold and we've spoken about diamonds, and platinum cannot be far behind. Joining us then is Vaishali Banerjee from Platinum Guild International. Vaishali, hi, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
And it is about platinum also, because the duty cut has happened quite sharply here. You've been asking it for it, and what is the impact now?
I think the mood is great. As you can see in the show, it's been so busy. So we're really seeing a upbeat mood. People are just willing to look at things, explore. So it's really good to see it. And I've been told, and you know, some of the stores we've been to, consumers are back in the store. And so we're, fingers crossed, looking at
especially ahead of the festive season.
Exactly.
So tell us, when it comes to platinum, what is the kind of growth that you have seen on an year-on-year basis for India?
So if I look at retail, retail has always been in and around 20% for our overall market. But our larger key partners have always been ahead of that, so 25 plus typically. Last year we saw around 18% for the entire market. This year, we should definitely get that and maybe a little bit more because of this. Though I have to say that the first quarter, it was a little down, but seeing the mood now, I think we can more than make up for it.
Vaishali, when it comes to men category or women category, where do you see a better growth coming in?
Well, in terms of just in terms of value and volume from men's, naturally, because they are heavyweight. But in terms of number of pieces or number of times that a consumer picks up a piece of platinum jewelry, I would still say it's the women's jewelry.
And duty drawback is something that you picked up as a point that still needs to be sorted out. What's your sense on that?
I just think that, we've got very high quality platinum jewelry manufacturers in the domestic market now, because this market is thriving. And they should have access to the rest of the world, because the demand is globally very strong. And now that we are looking at Middle East as a market, this will help us export our jewelry into those markets, which I just think is an opportunity for us all to grow.
When you look at India versus the rest of the world, what is the kind of numbers that you're picking up in sense of consumption going forward?
So at an overall level, we are expecting, at least this is what Metal Focus has said, is overall jewelry will see a modest growth. India continues to have high growth. US is also growing, as is Japan. So Japan, of course, is a very, very highly, dominant market, and it's been a long market for platinum. So it's very much more mature. But if we look at India and US and Japan, they're all growing. And Middle East, very, very nascent at this moment, but is showing great potential.
So when it comes to platinum, which bracket would you put it in? Is it like engagement, or is it like gifting, or is it wedding? How is it picking up?
I think the two main categories is your commitment rings and self-purchase.
Okay.
These for men and women, both. So commitment rings, because some people use it as engagement, while some people buy a lot of anniversary gifting. That is what we find a lot in terms of the love gifting happening during anniversaries, and self-purchase for both men and women.
How are you looking at the forthcoming festive season for platinum?
We are feeling good about it. And also, I think the duty cut has really helped to push it forward. The momentum is good. The manufacturers have actually looked at great innovation in all three categories, which what I'm hearing from retail, and we had our BSM just a month back, what we saw at retail was also a lot of enthusiasm. So yes, we're hoping for a good season.
Right. Wishing you all of that and more, Vaishali. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, it's that time of the year when you have more and more exhibitions continuing in case of jewelry, diamonds, and of course gold. They're joining us now to talk about all of that is Mr. Nirav Bhansali. He's convener at National Exhibitions at GJPC. Nirav, hi, thank you so much for joining us. And the response that you're getting at IIJS at this time around really seems to be very, very strong. So much so that you have so many exhibitors and the space is less.
Yes, this is by far the biggest IIJS ever. It's the 40th edition. We have 2,100 exhibitors spread across 3,600 booths, and we still have a waiting list of 1,800 booths, and we don't have the space for that.
So there's that many people who want to start exhibiting, and is that because there's been a duty cut, there is a lot of sentiment improvement that we've seen into the segment?
So there are various factors. So firstly, IIJS by itself is a platform which is like the most renowned and most looked forward for, especially this premier edition. Along with that, the duty cut that came in, it was just perfect timing. So all in all, I think because of the festive season coming in, IIJS, duty cuts, I think it's just rocking. Yeah.
It is. On an annual basis, how much does India spend on jewelry, diamonds, gold, all put together? And on year-on-year basis, what kind of growth are we looking at?
So it's a $100 billion market, so it's like 8 lakh crores. It's growing at a healthy 10%. The best part is 50% of it is organized, 50% is still one independent, 1-2 stores. So for big corporate conglomerates, for expansion, they have a lot of room. I don't think any other industry provides this kind of base. It's the second biggest spend in the country, wedding industry. In wedding, jewelry is one of the topmost spends. It's 7% of the Indian GDP, 15% of the merchandise exports. So it's an amazing place to be, an amazing industry, and the future is very bright. I would say it's the best time for Indian jewelry. The next 10 years is going to be really golden, diamond and platinum.
All right. Also one thing, while we have seen hallmarking come in for gold, there has been a lot of conversation around the exhibition talking about some kind of a standardization for diamonds as well. What's your sense on that?
Yeah, so even I am a strong proponent of that, because we want to give transparency and confidence to the consumer. With the hallmarking coming in gold, now today nobody talks about a lower caratage of gold or being cheated. But I wouldn't say that there is cheating going on in the diamonds, but there are different standards followed by different labs. All are not means having the same standard. So if government or some regulatory body or all of them come together and come to a uniform standard where we can say that SI1 is an SI1 for every lab, that would really give a very strong confidence to the consumer, and they can buy with confidence from any retailer across the country.
The other thing, Nirav, everybody seems to be talking about is the Diamond Impress license. We saw Piyush Goyal ji also talk about that. So what's really the latest on that?
Yeah, that's also a very, very good initiative. We had been proposing from GJAPC for a very long time, because all the goods that go out doesn't get sold over there. There are sometimes returns or something. So in a regulated way, Impress license used to be there earlier. Now we will be allowed a certain percentage of our exports to be brought in under regulated conditions. So it will be a very organized way of getting the goods back, and then we can also sell internationally sometime with, okay, if you don't like it, you can send us a little return back, and with that definitely it adds more to the business. I'm sure it will expand the business.
With India standing at perhaps between 15 to 20% in sense of penetration and global demand in diamonds, where do you see it going in the next 5 or 10 years if you have that kind of visibility?
I cannot pinpoint a number, but I can just tell you it's going to go way higher. Not only in diamonds, even in gold, in the entire jewelry space, India is going to be leading from the front, and we are going to be grabbing the market share across every single country where there is a jewelry consumption. Our technology, machinery, all this is like manufacturing is getting to such a high standard. The design, if you'll see, we have created a select club this time in the Geo venue, and it has received overwhelming response from the retailers. We have been able to collect the best of the designs that India has to offer in one place. So I think people are now understanding that India is not just mass production, but it is design, it is quality, it is trust. So there is only one way, and it's going to be going up and up. Yes.
One final number I want to have from you. Last year was all right. I mean, it wasn't such a great year even for the Indian markets in that sense. This year, with the kind of mood that we are seeing around, what is the number that you anticipate for the second half of this year as compared to previous year?
So just few months back, it was a little slow market. There were a lot of factors. Gold prices suddenly shot up, and then there were elections, which also puts a little dampener to the mood. But post June, I think the market has really picked up very well. And duty cut was just really a golden gift from the government to us, and the demand has just skyrocketed. So I think every retailer that we've been speaking to and the manufacturers over here, whether it's in any category, silver, gold, diamond, platinum, they are all seeing a very good uptick. And I'm sure all the first 6 months of deficit will be covered and more, and it's really going to be one of the best years for the Indian retail market.
Nirav, thank you so much for joining us. Well, that's the number coming in from Nirav here at GJBC, where the numbers are really on the higher side, whether it is about demand, the kind of volume that is being done here, and of course the expectation that as compared to previous year, jewelry, diamond as a business perhaps could be looking at a much higher number, a double-digit increase perhaps. But with that, that's all the time that we have on Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.